Okay, well, I'm going to keep it in this division, and I'm going to pick goaltending as one of the scary starts to the season, specifically Alex Georgiev. Guys, he's been rough, really rough. And I've got some stats here and a few honorable mentions in terms of goalies who have gotten off to some pretty scary starts to the season. But for Georgiev, he has a 4.99 goals against average right now, an 8.10 save. He has the worst goal saved above expected in the NHL, negative 9.9 in only 5 games played. You can do the math there. That's not very good. He hasn't played a single game where he's posted a save percentage above 861 yet, which is just tough, tough, tough. Colorado started the season not very hot, but quietly. They're 4-4-0 now. They're back to 500. They've kind of battled back here, and the thing is, it's mostly due to Justus Annunen. He's kind of picked up the slack here for Georgiev because Georgiev has not been very good at all. And in Annunen's last 3 games, he has a 962, a 926, and a 962, all W's. So, like I said, they've quietly won those 4 straight games. Most of it has been due to just getting average or slightly above average goaltending from Annunen and not Georgiev. And, something I wanted to bring up as I talk about the Avs and goaltending is the fact that they've kind of never had like really solid goaltending recently. And even when they won the cup, I looked this up earlier because, I wanted to see if my memory was correct, and it was. Darcy Kemper, when they won the cup, he had a 902 in the playoffs, a 902 save percentage. So just not really good. And the thing is, their stars usually just outscore the opposition, and their defense is usually pretty good, so they don't give up a ton. So you can kind of get away with lackluster goaltending so long as it's not this bad. And this year it's been extremely bad, mostly from Georgiev. But also 2 more things about Colorado. They're the 7th best in the NHL in terms of expected goals against. So it's not even like they're getting caved in. Like they're defending well as a team. And in terms of expected goals percentage, they're 3rd as well. So really, like, all it's come down to this slow start. You can talk about the depth on Colorado. Maybe it's not quite there like it used to be, but really, when you dig into the numbers, it's basically just goaltending. And even further than that, it's basically just Georgiev, who's had a scary start to the season.
Yeah, I can't. Varlamov is maybe like the last good goalie I can think of in Colorado. I'm sure I'm missing one, and go ahead and point that out in the comments. But that's what I mentioned. I said that they have the lion's share of the expected goals, so things are expected to flip over in Colorado. Mm-hmm. But when we were talking about that coin flip of who's going to be at the top of this division, Dallas or Colorado, the thing we pointed out as maybe this is the question mark for this team is goaltending. And Georgiev, this has not been good so far. And I think there's got to be a little bit of panic going on in the head office, because we know that Annunen's been good in a brief or a small collection of games and appearances over the last couple of years. So are we going to be able to rely on him to be a starting goalie for the whole season? I don't know. Like, that's got to have them scared to continue the theme.
I'm glad you brought up our preseason rankings, because I actually remember being more confident than you guys in this goaltending tandem, because Georgiev, though he's never been an incredible guy, he's always been very serviceable. He's never been this bad, is what I'm kind of getting at.
When we think back to him being the backup in New York, that was like the best tandem we could think of back then. Like, him as a backup, holy, that's phenomenal. But things have changed over the last couple of years.
Yeah, totally.
Certainly. And, going back to your point, Chad, like, and it was a good one, this team is good enough up front and on the back end to have, kind of middle of the road goaltending. And so if Georgiev can just give them something better than this, a 900 save percentage, or, at the bare minimum, then
Yeah, or a 900 in one game at least to start.
Yeah, exactly. And with Annunen, like he's still a young guy. They're very high on him as an organization. So I do like the kid, and I think that he'll continue to play well for them. But I mean, you can't expect this guy to play 50 games, can you? And
No
they
chance.
they claimed Kakinen off of waivers, which I think was a good one. I think Kakinen is a decent backup, but geez, that's not really a tandem that you can sell a lot of people on, that's for sure. So, yeah, no, the numbers from Georgiev have been scary. The team looks like they're starting to get it together, but you cannot outscore your problems every single night.
Yeah, for sure. And Kakinen, I think, is still hurt, right? Like that's why Annunen is playing all these games now. I mean, he's been playing well, but
Yeah, Kakinen, I know that there was a visa issue that was taking quite a bit of time, if I recall correctly. I believe Frank Saravalli reported that. I think that's a factor in this as well.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. I have a few honorable mentions in terms of goalies who have had some scary starts to the season. Number one is the tandem for the Flyers. It's just not been good enough at all. Sam
Awful.
Ersson and Ivan Fedotov. Unfortunately, I think that's probably the worst tandem in the NHL. They've both been just brutal, surface level and underlying numbers this year. And by the way, like we know goaltending is so fluid, right? Like there's ups and downs, but so I'm just pointing out these starts to the season. I'm not necessarily saying that these guys are bad, but so far they have not been good. Number two, honorable mention, Ville Husso. The guy played one game, got yanked, was on pace to allow 6.5 goals above expected in that one game, was sent down to the AHL immediately after, and has not played another game. But apparently it doesn't really matter because Alex Lyon and Cam Talbot are both goated. So there's that. Number three, and there's two more honorable mentions here for goalies who have had scary starts. Connor Ingram is number three. I kind of liked Utah's tandem going into the season, but Ingram has not been good. He was last year, but who knows?
Good record, but bad numbers.
Exactly, and bad underlying numbers as well. And then Jari is the fourth honorable mention. Tristan Jari in Pittsburgh, who I'm sure we're going to get to later. Goals against per 60, or sorry, goals saved above expected per 60. So more the goals. My bad. How do you phrase this? How do I phrase this here? Per 60, the goal saved above expected stat, but per 60. So the amount of goals that you allow more than an average goalie per 60 minutes. His numbers aren't actually that bad. And the reason I pulled the per 60 number is because he hasn't played that many games. So I needed to compare him fairly to other goalies. And, he's right between a guy like Jacob Markstrom and Marc-Andre Fleury, both who haven't been that bad this season. But for Jari, the problem is the Penguins are just giving up so much against. He just doesn't stand a chance. And Nedeljkovic has been okay, and Blomqvist has been okay, but I don't know how sustainable any type of solid goaltending is in Pittsburgh because they've just been brutal.